welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are live from downtown cinemas to talk about The Monkey, the new Osgood Perkins film based on a Stephen King short story. And guys, this was a really fun one. We had a great audience. We had a great panel with Knik Woods, Jimmie Gonzalez, and Sam Novak joining me, all people who are returning to the podcast. They've been on live shows before. Happy to have them all back. And it was just a great show overall. We had a really fun time over there at Downtown Cinemas. Before we get to today's episode, I also want to let you know, we keep doing these live shows and we want to just keep growing this thing. So I got to let you know right up front, we will be back at Downtown Cinemas in less than 2 weeks for Mickey 17, the new Bong Joon-ho film. I've got a great lineup for that one as well. David Quinones is going to be joining me. That's my buddy Q, who I started podcasting with, although he lives in Miami these days. And so it's really cool that we're going to get him on a live one for a change. And then I've also got Samantha Soriano returning to the podcast and Guillermo Barahona returning to the podcast. So it's going to be a great panel. That is Saturday, March 8th, and you can currently enter to win tickets at piecingpod.com. So enter to win tickets. We'd love to see you out there. And you really have no excuse. If you're in Las Vegas and you're going to be around on Saturday, March 8th, you can enter to win tickets right now. It costs you nothing, and then you might be able to go see the movie with us. Or then you could, of course, buy tickets as well. So that's coming up. And with that said, let's get into today's live show on The Monkey. All right, so I'm David Rosen, the host of the Piecing It Together podcast. We're about to talk about The Monkey. But before we get into The Monkey, which is going to be so much fun, I want to introduce my panel here. So first up, Jimmie Gonzalez back on the show. Jimmie, introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you do.
Hello, everybody. Jimmie Gonzalez here. I am a filmmaker. I am a DJ and film enthusiast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Knik Woods right next to him there. Knik,
Hi,
introduce yourself.
My name's Knik. I'm a filmmaker here in Las Vegas and the founding guy of Sin City Horror Club, local film enthusiast group.
Absolutely. Sam Novak on the end over there, also returning. Happy to have him back. Introduce yourself.
Glad to be back. Sam Novak. I'm a writer for Vegas 411. It's a website about Vegas entertainment and things happening in the city. And I am not a filmmaker. But I am a former movie theater manager. I managed about 34 screens in the South Florida area back in the day.
Right on. Absolutely.
I'm barely a filmmaker myself.
We're all kind of filmmakers, at least. But this movie, The Monkey, I've been looking forward to it for a while now. I mean, Osgood Perkins is somebody who I've really admired a lot of his work, but we have not seen anything quite like this from him before. And so I knew kind of going into it from the trailer, like this is going to be something different, just from the description, horror comedy, which I know is kind of a tough sell nowadays.
Has he not done a comedy before?
Not really. Like Longlegs
is stuff's definitely got very moody.
Yeah, it's very moody, and especially if you go to like I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, stuff like that. It's like totally dry and dark. Longlegs flirted with some humor. I mean, it's impossible not to with Nicolas Cage in there, but this is the first time just doing a straight up comedy, and kind of hope he goes back and forth like as he continues. Obviously, we just got that teaser for another movie, so he does not stop. But I don't know. We're gonna get into a lot of different stuff about this movie, but the main thing with piecing it together is we talk about a movie through the lens of what other movies might have inspired it, and we call those movies puzzle pieces. And so I like to just kick these things off with a puzzle piece just to jump right in. And I know we saw a trailer for a new Final Destination movie, but I feel like that's a good place to start here because we are dealing with a very unexplainable force that is making people die in very graphic and fun and unique ways. And I don't know, it seems like he kind of beat them to the punch with a new Final Destination in a way, you know? So I know we've got the new one coming out, but this is definitely in the vein of what they were doing there. I haven't seen those movies since they came out. Are you guys big fans of those?
Oh, yeah, actually, I love them.
I followed them when they came out. I haven't revisited them in a while.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed them.
I think we're all going to probably dive in and watch them one more time before the new one comes out.
Yeah.
Obviously the same formula, but the setups, it's like, which one is it? It's the roller coaster one. It's the race car one. It's the the logging truck. Those sorts of things.
A
And that's
car
what you
accident,
really
yeah.
remember instead of the things that happen
The
afterwards. I
logging
think.
truck is like everyone remembers that.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's a classic, absolutely. And this one is filled with just great kills. And, for any, sickos in the crowd like us, you probably really enjoyed a lot of those kills. And it's a tough thing to come up with unique ones, especially nowadays. I feel like we're always cutting away from the deaths and the violence, but, it really kind of leaned into a lot of that here. But I'm sure we'll get a lot of gruesome deaths within our puzzle pieces here. But, Jimmie, let's go to one from you.
Well, I have to be honest. This was pretty tough. I really
It was
saw
tough for me,
a
too.
lot of originality.
Yeah.
It's very original. So these are really digging deep. But of course, Final Destination was my first one.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking Gremlins.
Okay.
Did you see the sign that says no food after midnight?
Yeah.
Outside
Oh
the-
my
God,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ties to Gremlins. Just like the opening scene in general, just reminded me of when the father went to go pick up the gremlin in the shop, the odd shop, and everything. So I think he definitely pulled from that for that idea to get the movie started. It's like I said, it's kind of far fetched, but just the whole horror comedy element as well.
Yeah, sure.
Which was definitely tied into this, but super pitch black.
Yeah.
Dark as hell movie. So, but that's Gremlins.
Yeah, absolutely. And the father setting everything in motion unwittingly. And it's
Family.
the whole family dynamic and all that stuff. And Gremlins is just a super fun movie. And this is a super fun movie. It's just like the idea of just turning all this mayhem in on the family, and they can't stop it. And it's just going to keep getting more and more out of control as the movie goes on. So, absolutely a good one to include here. Let's go to Nick.
My first one, that's the more that I do these podcasts with you, the more that I start to notice things that aren't necessarily movie references, but pop culture references that might be influencing it. It's not always movies, right?
Sure.
There's all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
every once in a while.
But and one of them is a movie reference, but this is going to sound really pretentious, but I believe that art is like a thing that is constantly influencing everything that's coming after it. It's like cascading down. And like George Romero's Monkey Shines, right? And then the clothing line Paul Frank, which was really popular in the 90s and early 2000s, that's the monkey, right?
Sure.
And it's interesting to see that just like gradually kept getting recycled. That monkey got recycled through pop culture in a number of ways, to where when they come up with a Stephen King monkey movie, it's like, no, it needs to look like the Paul Frank Monkey Shines monkey. Like there's no other decision. Like it has to look like
One
that.
of the first things I thought was like, I can't wait to buy this thing. I think it's going to be huge.
And there's something to be said for right now. There's the iconic
the
things in
IP.
horror is how they're selling horror now.
Yeah.
And when we did
There's got to be
Imaginary,
a
it was the
pop
same
of
way.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they tried to
Buying
make
it.
something that they can merchandise and that's iconic. You'll remember.
Did you guys see? There was a story about this movie. They had to change it from the original cymbals monkey to the drum because apparently Pixar they copyrighted it for Toy Story 3, I believe. And how do you copyright a monkey? I don't.
You can't do. And the funny thing is, it said organ grinder monkey, but the monkey's not grinding.
No, there's no
Yeah,
grinder.
It's just a drum.
Yeah, grinding
That's funny.
people, but no, really great stuff there. Sam, let's go to one from you.
Okay. A lot of Stephen King universe stuff
So
in this
many.
movie.
Yeah.
You start off with the fact that the monkey itself is from the cover of the collection of short stories called Skeleton Crew.
Sure.
So if you don't know that book, you probably don't know the short story. But there are a lot of things that were peppered in this movie that you might not catch, like the babysitter's name was Annie Wilkes,
Oh, yes. Yep.
who
I heard
is
that. I did
the
catch that.
the Kathy Bates character from Misery.
Oh,
Misery.
goodness.
Wow. All right.
But the first one that I would throw out there is the Stephen King story, The Dark Half.
Okay.
I had that one on my list. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, they're fine. It's a good.
So you've got the brother who's got the twin, the twin
committing all the
situation, right? And so he's got to come back and stop his brother, and there's a lot of dark elements involved. So that one is really, really obvious. Or how many times
It
are we
was
going to go
also
through
set in
this?
Maine.
We'll, like,
It was
do-
set
We're
in
gonna have
Maine as
three?
well.
Maine is
Somewhere
a big,
in-
yeah.
That's usually
Sure.
like
All right, so
so.
I'll just throw that one out as my first for right now.
No, I think that's great.
I've got like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't want to bring one up.
We'll squeeze them in where we can. We'll get
It's
some.
hard to hold back.
Yeah.
I do think I just want to mention, like, I've never been a big Stephen King guy, and I think part of the reason is because of like everything always being unexplained in all of these stories. And for some reason, it just works really well here. I remember like with the recent It adaptations, I loved the first one. And then we get to the second one. It's like, oh, now we're going to get into the reasons behind all this. And it's just like, I don't know, just throwing stuff at the wall or whatever. But here, everything just kind of served the story, I felt like, and just added to not necessarily a mystery, but just shit happens. Like everything is nuts, and that's really all there is to it.
I didn't get into King until recently because when I grew up with, like in the '90s, Pet Sematary and It were more recent ones, and they were just much larger books. So very intimidating to me at the time. And then I got into his hard case crime novels, and his first one actually is a horror novel. It's not really a crime novel, called Later. But so they're a little bit shorter, so I was able to kind of finally get. Now I'm really into Stephen King.
Yeah,
but it took a while, you know.
Yeah, right on. Well, Nick, you were talking about bringing in things from outside of movies. I was going to actually do that as well. Although you could go with the movies, but I'm thinking more of the video games of Mortal Kombat. As far as just the gleefulness of fatalities, you know, like just this movie, it would have worked if it was just deaths, just people dying, but they are so into coming up with inventive ways to tear the intestine out with the thing, and then like the guy getting run over by 62 horses, and then the bees, I think, was literally a fatality in one of the recent Mortal Kombat games. The 2021 Mortal Kombat, I know a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it, but
I liked it. I thought it was super fun.
I thought it was really fun, and that movie actually gets into fatalities from the game, so you could go with that as the puzzle piece, but the 90s movies didn't really have fatalities. They were just fun, silly B movies. But but Mortal Kombat and the gleefulness of showing these deaths and coming up with inventive ones, I'm sure Osgood Perkins and whoever he wrote this with were just and James Wan is a producer who loves that. He produced the Mortal Kombat, the 2021 Mortal Kombat. But I'm sure they just loved coming up with crazy inventive ways to kill, you know? So, yeah. So let's go to another one from Jimmy.
Well, the gleefulness was perfectly because I was going to say this one a little later, but you segued right in. But I was thinking Battle Royale. A lot of J-horror films.
Sure.
A lot of J-horror, very inventive with their kills, very comedic, you know, and you know, inventive, you know, and just having fun with the gore, you know, and death in general. So even more so than the Final Destination movies, because some of those they started getting a little campy in, you know, the sequels, but you know, they were pretty serious and it's scary. Yeah. And this one just jumped right to like part 2 or 3 of the Final Destination.
Sure.
But like I said, the J-horror films, if you guys check out like Battle Royale, and tons of them can't come to my mind now, but like they're all very gleeful.
Takashi Miike
yes,
stuff. Yeah, the kills are really inventive in those movies.
Yeah. There was a Korean
Suicide Club is another one.
There was a Korean movie a few years ago, Project Wolf Hunting. Have you guys seen that? It's like set on a ship, and there's something on the ship. I won't give away what happens, but it gets completely insane, and like it just gets into that like just over the top gore and over the top insanity, and something that's huge in those J horror stuff.
I didn't catch who did makeup for this, but they deserve big props on this film.
Sure,
they did great gore effects.
Yeah. I completely agree.
It's amazing in an age of CGI how the prosthetic makeup effects do seem to keep getting better and better.
Yeah,
and which I'm tickled to death with, because I get a little worried in the age of CGI that they're going to lose the craft a little bit.
Totally.
But so many special effects makeup artists are just at the top of the game right now.
For those who know, they're still sticking to it.
They were pretty convincing just on the ant when it jumps 25 years, because I don't know if you recognize that actress. But that's Twyla from Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
is it really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I had to really look afterwards. Like, I know that face, but I had to look to see who it was, and they just the aging was very convincing.
Yeah, it was. You knew she was, but it was aged well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that also goes back to Osgood Perkins being like, this could have easily been made by somebody who just makes kind of, hacky slasher or like just comedy horror type things, but this is like a real, like, solid director who makes really good movies and like, you know, has a real serious attention to detail and attention to, you know, creating an atmosphere and all that stuff. And he brought that here, even though it's a very silly, goofy movie.
It's Anthony Perkins' son.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's amazing that such a prolific actor, his son of horror,
Yeah.
his
It took him a while,
his son
though.
ends up being such an amazing director in horror.
Did you notice he cameoed in this?
Yeah,
too,
he's
right?
Chip, Uncle Chip, and these
That was cool.
hilarious. Oh my god,
It was really good.
so
Yeah.
funny.
Nick, let's go to one from you.
Mine's going to be Hellraiser.
Sure.
Adam Scott is in Hellraiser Bloodlines before he was anybody. He's in Hellraiser 4. Seeing him
that's right.
he's
He
in the
was
beginning of that
beginning.
movie, and he's in
Yeah.
the beginning of this film.
Oh, yeah.
But Hellraiser has
I
this
was trying to
element of
place
the
them.
puzzle box. It's like, well, just don't fucking touch the puzzle box, right? Like if you don't want people to die, but they keep touching the puzzle box,
That's-
Yeah.
right?
That's
For they keep finding reasons to do it, and the monkey has the same functionality in this movie. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
so
that's good.
funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, thankfully, then we get a movie. So, you know. So, yeah. Let's go to another one from Sam.
All right. Once again, I'm going to reference the opening sequence of this with the store, and you get the idea that the father is returning this to the store, which I don't know if that fit into the plot because the mom had said that he always brings things back from his trips to Paris, but it looked like it was an American store. Whether or not it was, where I'm going with this is that another Stephen King story that was made into a movie called Needful Things.
Yeah.
Did I get you again?
no, because I
Oh,
actually
he
haven't.
just-
I
he
thought
just-
of that.
he did.
I was
Okay.
actually going to ask though, is that a Stephen King? I don't remember.
Yeah,
It's-
that's a
it's
Stephen King
King.
story
it's a
for
book.
sure. I mean, the book
Okay.
itself is really, really thick.
I think it had
Why
the
I
same
haven't read that
tone
one.
as the Needful Things.
Yeah,
It had
and
that
the
tone.
concept is the same.
Yeah.
A store that sells objects that have some sort of a
Curse,
on
right.
them, and it just follows these people around. So that's this could be just one of the things from that store.
Yeah.
And the storekeeper moved his place from city to city in the book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. In fact,
It does create like an idea of like, well, what other things could you base off of that exist in that store? What
Yeah,
other movies
sure.
what other stories
and
could you do?
I was looking for that when I saw it the first time.
See any
This is my
Easter eggs? Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw this at a screening a few weeks ago, and so I was, and it was in IMAX, which was great because I was looking in the store for different things that I might recognize. It didn't dawn on me about the no food after midnight
Yeah,
outside the
Yeah, I saw
diner.
that outside. Well,
But
I had
you-
already thought Gremlins, and then I saw that, and I was like, it's intentional. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
So,
you know that a movie's been given a lot of thought when they start peppering those things in there, and you really have to look for them. If they're obvious and hitting you over the head, then it kind of loses the fun.
Yeah, for
Sure.
sure, for sure.
Absolutely.
I've just noticed that Osgood Perkins is getting good at like fully realizing his world and his scenes. Like he really like is going through each scene. Like, okay, now that I've written the story and the story's tight, what can I put in here that's not really story related?
Yeah.
But it's something that's going to give the scene some color. I love that he's doing that. I think that's really cool.
I do have a question about that though. When they get back to the aunt's town where the finale takes place, the mother and two sons did that sequence when you first introduced them, did they seem like that was just thrown in there and you were like, who are these people?
Wait.
When the very first scene where the mom and the two sons are on the couch, the one's got the camouflage on, the other one's the one that finds the
Oh,
monkey.
yeah, who are
they
these
just
people?
they
Yeah.
just came out of nowhere, and it even
Yeah, Joey
watching it
Ramone
the
in there,
second
yeah.
time, I was just like, I'm not sure how they fit into the
Well,
story.
funny about that
Yeah,
is
oh,
that
yeah.
that was like the only scene in this movie that reminded me of modern horror because like we do get a lot of things like that lately where it's like very very kind of like artistically crafted scenes where it's like what exactly are we doing right now? Where are we? We're showing some like cutaway to some other sequence or something like
Yeah,
that.
in prior to digital days, I would have been wondering, did they put the wrong reel on for the
Sure.
next sequence because
Yeah.
it just seemed like you were in a different movie, and I have to wonder if there wasn't some editing.
There's got to be something
that-
cut out.
Yeah,
that
I
adds to
feel like
them,
there was
who they
something
are.
missing because as great as the movie is, that didn't enter into the story as smoothly as it should have. I thought.
Yeah, that's definitely some editing.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Something they had to do.
I mean,
with.
Osgood Perkins does like peppering weird ass characters in his movies.
Sure. Longlegs had a lot
just
of
because he
that.
wants to do that. He did Longlegs as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just does it because it makes the world more colorful. But yeah, it would be nice to know a little bit more about them because they were definitely very weird. You know, they didn't seem like throwaway characters.
Yeah.
per se.
Right, and you could tell there was a lot of history.
Just in the way they talk to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even the guy in camo, there was obviously a lot more to his story that didn't go anywhere.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I want to get to the nihilism of this a little bit with my next one, my final piece. I couldn't decide between two different movies that I was thinking of. The Coen brothers, Serious Man, and Noah Baumbach's White Noise. Two movies that, to me, just kind of, really put a spotlight on just the nonsense of life, basically, and that really anything could happen, and you just kind of have to go with it. One of my favorite movie quotes ever is "A serious man, please accept the mystery," which is just it totally wraps that movie up so well. And the idea that you just kind of got to go along with it. There's no getting to any kind of answers of any of it. It's just going to happen, and that's something that this family is kind of trying to wrap their heads around through 25 years of this story, and something that they're never going to quite get to. And even in that final scene, we see that character kind of going across the
pale
screen.
horse was so cool.
Yeah,
I love that because it's clearly a mythical character. It's
Sure.
not a real person that's on fire from the town.
Yeah.
Clearly bringing the supernatural
there's
element into it that
definitely
has
more.
not existed the entire film.
There's
Yeah.
more
Right,
to that.
and they
Yeah.
just kind of shrug it off.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. He's like nods to him. He's like, "All right, I get you now."
Yeah, let's go dancing.
Yeah. I get you. I'm stuck with the pale horse. All
The
right, we're good.
surrealist stuff is just nicely peppered in, where it's just little brush strokes of that, and that's one of my favorite moments. And it all just kind of adds up to you're never gonna understand this. This is just life, and life is
It's
just
like the
stupid.
pale horse showed up once they'd embraced their fate.
Sure.
And it's like the pale horse shows up to kind of give them some respect.
Yeah.
You know what? I respect you for
You've been
embracing
through a
this.
lot. You've
That's a
been
good
through a
way to
lot
say it.
like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But then I don't think any of us are ever going to look at a school bus full of cheerleaders the same way again.
That was
Amazing.
great.
Amazing. Let's go to one more from Jimmy.
Oh man, I'm kind of like I said, this was a tough one. I was gonna say Needful Things for my last one, but
Sure.
Do you want some of mine?
I can say
You
got
steal one
multiple?
from Nick.
There's so much Stephen King.
Pass him a note.
I'm not
Pass
going
him a
to
note.
steal
Yeah, all
from
the
you.
Stephen King stuff, but I mean, I don't know, Child's Play because of the
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah, sure.
He
You know.
melted the monkey immediately. I
Yeah,
thought.
Yeah.
that was good. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just the whole object of being the MacGuffin, the center of the film. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And it keeps coming back. No matter how you
Yes.
try to get rid of it, it keeps showing back up. So, I think it 100% belongs in the
Any of
conversation.
those films with like dolls or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So he could have he could have called it the bear and just had a stuffed bear. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd that he chose the monkey.
Yeah.
I wonder why. I think there's a little more depth in the story. I think the writing was the comedic writing was amazing.
Yeah.
But talk about the guy in a horse. I think there is some depth, and I'm a film lover who loves analyzing film and seeing depth. I don't know if there's so much in here, but there's got to be with all that stuff that we just can't make sense of yet.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to hit YouTube after seeing a movie and see what are all the weird theories out there, and then
Sure.
go, fuck, I missed that, or that's
For
true.
sure, there's
and,
already several
But there's gotta
badass
be
video
some.
essays about it. Yeah.
yeah, and I like and I'm sure there's some in here, and yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go to one more from Nick.
I wrote this down earlier, suspecting it was going to go this way, and the ending did. It follows.
Okay.
The fact that it starts with somebody who's cursed by the thing and tries to keep their friends out of the line of
Pass
fire
it
of this
on, yeah.
problem, or they try to pass it on,
It's a good one.
or whatever, and then there's this kind of poetic thing about now that I've divulged this information to you, I've shared with you I would say it's a euphemism for shame, that I've shared my shame with you, that you know about it. Now you have a choice to stick with me or not.
Yeah.
And the kid says, you know what, I'd like to stick around. And now they get to face this demon together. Just like at the end of It Follows when they say, it's just going to follow us. So fuck it. Let's just go for a walk.
Yeah, that's true.
You
The
and
ending.
there's this embracing of fate there as well. So I definitely mimicked that. I thought I had that vibe early in the film, and then at the ending I was like, fuck, that's landing perfectly.
That's a great one. Absolutely. Sam, one more from you.
Can I throw out three quick?
Just put them together.
All right,
Sure.
first one, Annabelle.
Yeah.
You're an
Annabelle.
inanimate object that keeps popping in, you throw it away, it pops back again.
Yeah.
Second one, we already said it though, but It.
Yeah.
A bunch of people that have to return back
I had that one
years
on mine
later
too,
to try to vanquish something finally. And the last one, the most recent Wolfman movie. You've got the guy that's growing up, gets away from his father, gets away from the curse. His new family knows nothing about his background,
Sure.
his history. Then he has to go back where he came from, and his daughter's discovering about her grandfather that she never met while
Yeah.
they're facing this evil all over again.
This is a recurring theme that we're seeing in a lot of horror now, and I wonder if that's just like a generational awareness about like trauma passed down through families and stuff like that. I don't know. It seems to be something that maybe a younger generation is more aware of. King was very aware of it and returned to it multiple times in his films, but it wasn't super popular. I don't think that it was a really popular thing. The only thing that I can really think of that was like a popular '80s horror film where someone returns to fate, it would be Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It's the only one that comes to mind when I'm like, okay, the main character is returning to face this thing. But that wasn't a recurring theme in '80s horror as far as I'm aware. But it's really like a really common thing now.
Yeah, and the trauma thing became a major thing in like the early 2000s to like 2010s, and like the
Mental health
A24.
awareness. People just became more aware of it. Yeah.
Well, they pretty much hammered the phrase "deadbeat dad" through the story. I mean, not only the main protagonist, but that side family kept talking about his dad that abandoned them.
Yeah.
That guy was
absolutely.
ridiculous.
I kind of thought that would go once again somewhere because they're sitting there in that car talking about the fact they both had dads that disappeared.
Like there might be a link up there. Or
Right,
something.
but all you got were bees in the mouth.
Yeah, it was a cool death though. That's for sure.
All you guys.
That's great.
I want to open it up to the floor, see if we have any puzzle pieces out here. Does anybody have anything that we haven't brought up yet that they thought of for this one? We got right over here.
Yeah, just the whimsy in which they approached death, and even the narrator had me reminded of that TV show, 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yes.
You guys remember that one? Yeah, I was catching a lot of that.
A Thousand Ways to Die, and again, like you said, the whimsy of approaching death, and
Better
like
off dead.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely, all the different ways it can happen, and hey, let's have some fun with it. So yeah, for sure. Up there.
Hi, I'm Sparky.
Hey, Sparky.
I'm glad you brought that up about the symbols, because that was actually my favorite toy as a child too, given to me by a really crazy hoarding aunt. I wonder if you
You had a symbol monkey? You had one?
Say again.
You had a monkey with the symbols?
It could be worth a lot now. Yeah.
I wonder if you have any insight on why they didn't like push the head and make the teeth chatter thing.
Yeah.
That's probably too close to the trademark.
They probably had to change little bits and pieces, but also I think after just turning the key and then like it happening on its own, probably just a little extra creepy, But yeah, I
think it's
I
the
like the
I think it's
spinning
the,
stick. That was
I think
cool.
it's the focus on the. I think there's a tension building element to drumming.
Sure.
And it like picking up speed and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, it
and
got fast,
just
too.
just for the cinematic value of having tension build visually and with sound.
They really amplified that towards the end when you saw the debris on the floor.
Yeah, it started
starting to
shaking.
pulse
I
with
thought
I
the
love that
ground was
scene.
going to open up like there was going to be an earthquake. It was going to swallow his brother. or
I loved
whatever.
how that scene played
By
out.
the
That
way,
was so cool.
AMC theaters, they're selling a specialty popcorn bucket
Oh.
Yeah.
that's got the monkey wrapped with its
Really?
Wrapped around the
looking
bucket?
forward now. Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's
and
good.
when I came out of it, some guy was carrying his, and he said, "I'm like, nope, just please get it away, get it away."
That's so fun.
It was like I asked him how much he paid for it. He said they were charging $45 for that.
It won't do as good as the Dune monkey, I'm sure. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
not-
the Dune,
not-
The Dune
bucket.
worm.
Dune bucket or the
I'd watch
Deadpool
a
one.
Dune
Oh
monkey
my
movie
God.
for sure. But yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just it comes down. I think really a couple of those answers all kind of come together here, like as far as the creepy factor, the more mystical factor, and then rights, But a little bit of all that though combined.
I think the teeth would have been creepy too.
Yeah. You got the lips, so So I think I saw hands up that way somewhere.
No.
No? Anybody up that way? Oh, we got one right here.
I guess I was thinking about John dies at the end. John dies at
Love
the
that
end
one.
as a lot of the tonality of this movie.
Yeah.
The comical nature of it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a weird
with
comedy.
with the drug that they take. I forget what the name of it is, but yeah, and the calls from the brother randomly is John constantly calling in. At some point, he calls on a hot dog.
The hot dog phone's my favorite. I love that.
Nice.
Isn't that Don Coscarelli?
I love Coscarelli, dude.
Did anybody think that the aunt's house kind of reminded you of Morningside Mortuary?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
No. Talking about Morningside Mortuary is the
From
Mortuary in
Phantasm.
Phantasm.
Another Coscarelli.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what her place looked like.
The,
Talking about the aunt's house?
the aunt's house, it was kind of situated slightly up a hill, kind of broad.
Yeah.
Um,
Light colored.
yeah, the first time that the camera was stagnant on with all the fog around, I thought Morningside.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I know
good.
what you're talking about.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that visual reference there.
Mm-hmm.
Any others out here before we get into some closing thoughts? Anything else? All right, we got one right up there.
So to me, it kind of felt like the Adam Scott character was going to be set up as the dad of the other family too.
I did too.
And so I was kind of thinking maybe.
But the fact that he's a
So
pilot.
he was a pilot, and then the cop uniform.
Yeah.
Made me think. And David, you know I like to go ridiculous with my
Sure.
pieces. Catch Me If You Can.
Catch me if you can.
And he just has families all over the country, but with a different profession.
Yeah.
Sure.
Each time. So I got the pilot, the cop, just various different.
That could have been a whole thread.
That would have been the
got cut
best
out.
if
I
the,
love
if
that.
the
You're
dad at the
talking
beginning
about.
was the dad of the
They
other
even
family.
Yes,
the,
that
the
could have
son
been a whole
pulling the
thread.
police
So good.
uniform out even called it a costume. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
If maybe the monkey has shown up to each of the families. The
Yeah.
monkey reminded that guy of his dad for some reason.
We got a sequel.
Yeah. There you go. That's
Yeah.
exactly where we go.
At this point, you're probably right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
that's
then
probably.
it got edited out.
See, these are the guys that make the YouTube videos.
There you go.
They find the layers that our podcast can't
Yeah.
find. Right?
Yeah. We'll link to your YouTube video in the comments under
Well,
the
then the
episode.
characters that you were talking about, that's probably all going to be involved if there is a sequel of, like more characters that can connect with that whole thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it could just.
And they didn't want to overdo it on the first one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
you never really found out if the father is alive or not. They didn't
That's
show him
true, yeah.
dying. The last thing you saw was him with the
That makes
flamethrower.
sense. Yeah, I think they're coming back.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh boy. Well, Jimmy, let's get to some closing thoughts. Anything you want to mention here?
Like just said over. For me, I'm a big fan of just filmmakers, and so I really came to see a Osgood Perkins movie. I loved Black Colt's Daughter. I loved Long Legs. I didn't see Hansel and Gretel yet, but
That's actually my favorite.
I heard yes, and I love witch films, so I know I got to see
I
it.
love that.
But I just love to see a filmmaker grow like this and go in a completely different direction. And I think I say this all the time, but I don't really watch any trailers. I don't read anything. I don't even know it was a comedy. You said it was
Right.
a horror comedy. I didn't even know that. I
Yeah.
thought I was going to see a horror movie tonight.
Nice.
But so I like being surprised, and
Yeah.
that was my first impression is surprise on what he's doing now, and then he bangs it out with another trailer at the end of this. I mean,
Crazy.
Osgood's he's on board. He's the next master of horror, and more. It seems like he could do anything.
I mean, I'm just gonna tack on to what you're saying because I like a lot of the like newer horror that's coming out that's like getting some respect, but some of it is a little pretentious, and I don't necessarily mind that because I can be pretentious, but I like that Osgood stuff isn't.
Yeah.
I like that he's a
He's
little
having
hammy.
fun.
He leans into it, and he's becoming more. It's almost like he's becoming more comfortable with himself with these new later films.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like he's more in touch with what he wants and less concerned about it being this or that. I'm really loving that. In that way, I'm kind of digging what Osgood's doing now, as opposed to like some of the more like folk or elevated horror that everyone respects. I love that stuff, but I like that this is a little more hammy and unabashed. So, and the interesting thing about it is like, yeah, he had Adam Scott in the beginning and maybe a couple other actors that people have seen in other places, but this is a Osgood Perkins film. It's not a film that's got a lead actor that everyone knows, and
Sure.
they're not leaning on that for marketability. And I'm really kind of impressed with it. The fact that he's been consistent enough with his craft that they don't have to lean on cast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's actually the thing that I was going to bring up for mine is just the fact that we're here to see an Osgood Perkins film, and that's pretty damn cool. We don't have a lot of that in horror. I mean, obviously, Ari Aster or
I love Ari
you know,
Aster
like-
stuff.
Yeah,
and
right.
I love that stuff, but it is very layered and I don't want to say self-involved, like it's a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But there's what Robert Eggers and Ari Aster are doing is they're kind of making horror respectable now with its elevated nature, but this is definitely more like, no, we can have some fucking fun
Taking it
with
back
it.
to having
You
fun,
know?
yeah.
Yes,
So-
100%,
yeah.
100%. Sam, how about you?
I think that we're really in a really good period of horror films. Like the way that everybody remembers the 80s being a great time for slasher movies. I think that we're in a really good time for creative, inventive, surprising horror.
Mhm.
And if you think back some of the great things that we had from last year, like Strange Darling or Oddity,
Yeah.
and then we've got already Companion, which I thought was fantastic, and then this one, we're continually being surprised by new ideas instead of just recycling the things that we've seen before. And when you can go to a movie theater with people and hear gasps and excited conversation afterward, that's awesome. We're here in a theater. I always like to throw that out. Please go see things at the theater. Don't wait till they come up for streaming.
Absolutely.
And talking about them in ways like this. And when I saw the screening of this a couple of weeks ago, the fact that people stuck around the auditorium in groups having conversations, people that never met before, to the point where the usher said, "Hey, we gotta, scoot you outside and get ready for the next show." That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like this is going to be me sounding pretentious, but it does seem like horror is the genre right now that's making real cinema right now.
Oh, yeah,
there's a lot
it's
of other
true.
stuff that are just big marketing packages, and that's what they are as a movie, right? Is they're there to make money, and they're not necessarily concerned about the craftsmanship or the story as much.
Disney.
Yeah, and Marvel too, and Star Wars too. It's just gone that direction with all these big IPs, which is a real bummer for someone who grew up on that stuff, right? But to see the horror so well preserved and standing out as something like, no, this is cinema. We're making good movies right now. I love that. It gives me a lot of hope for cinema.
When you've got The Substance up for Best Picture,
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
That's insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But we have so many. To add what you were saying, like of horror is like we have all these great decades that are coming in now, stacking each other like 70s, 80s, 90s, getting into this. It's like all those generations of horror movies are all taking all the best ideas and combining and making one big good film.
And I'll say, as a filmmaker, it really challenges me. I mean, I can't say much about it, but the project that I'm working on right now, like I continue to watch lots of horror films and just want to see what my competition is, and I'm like, I have to look at the scene, like the scene fucking sucks. Like I gotta fix the scene, right? And because of that, rewrites took 3 months instead of 2 weeks, like we thought they were gonna take.
Yeah.
Because I had to spend the time on making every scene. I still got a couple scenes that aren't as good as I'd like them to be, but they were like, we need the script now. And I was like, all right, cool, right? But it challenges someone like myself, and not just to make sure the scenes are great and fun, but doing at least for me at this stage of being an artist, really checking in with myself. Do I like this?
Sure.
Do I want to watch this scene?
Yeah.
Do I think this scene is fun? And checking, and because I do ask myself, are people going to like it? Of course. Like I try to have my finger on the pulse of what's appealing to some degree. But if you don't enjoy it and you're slugging away at this feature film, you're going to be exhausted shooting the scene that you don't even fucking want to be in.
Right. Right.
So yeah. Anyways, I like that it's challenging for me. So
Well,
Yeah.
when the bar's being raised by product, or I don't want to say product, but things like this, examples like this, everybody benefits.
everybody benefits. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. Jimmie, where can people find you?
Basically, I'm on Instagram at SpaceToonz, SpaceToonz. I am DJing for the Sin City Horror Club. I'll let Nick talk more about that.
You can name
But
drop it.
yeah, we do a monthly screening of VHS horror films at the Millennium Fandom Bar. And so before and after I spin music, what I do is I do cinemixes, which is taking a song from a film and then I do my own video edit mashup of those clips from that movie. And so basically I spin music videos of original stuff. And I do that with at Nick's thing every month at the Millennium Fandom Bar. And also I do a podcast with my son. It's a father and son show called the Cinema Snobs VR. We do it on a VR setting where we're actually in virtual form. And that's also coming out monthly. It's on Speaking on Flicks on Netflix. I'm sorry, on YouTube.
Right on. Absolutely. Nick, how about you?
My name's Knik Woods. You can find me at Ghost Chaser Nick on Instagram, or you can follow, more importantly, because I don't post a lot on there, more importantly, Sin City Horror Club on Instagram to see our events there. Like Jimmie was saying, we do a monthly thing called Vintage Horror Screenings, where we show horror films on VHS like the old days. And it's really fun because even though we can have reactions here in the theater, there everyone can have side conversations because you're in a bar, And so it's a little bit more akin to like the watching rented movies in the 90s with your friends. It's a little bit more like that.
Oh, we
And,
riff and talk
Oh, the
through
whole
'em and-
time.
yeah.
It's so fun. And yeah, people will shout out, jokes or whatever and get some laughs and stuff. But we have sponsors too. We're very happy. The Severin Films, which Jimmie works with, they sponsored us. And also Gore Noir Magazine has sponsored us now as well. So it's growing. So we'd really like to see some of you guys there. If you like horror films, follow us on Instagram and come hang out.
Absolutely. Sam, how about you?
I can be found on a website called Vegas411.com. We've got a team of about 10 writers, and we cover all aspects of entertainment and excitement in Las Vegas. Lately, we've been covering a lot more on filmmakers, movies being made here in town, the fact that we've got a couple of studios coming in, and we even have an actress from on a recent horror film that's attending here right now, Sparky Lisa, and Dead
Desert Fiends.
Desert Fiends. Yeah.
I'm working on my 11th horror movie right now.
11th. Hell yeah.
She's got her fingers in a lot of
things.
Yeah. Do you get killed in any of
There's a
them?
lot about cinema happening in Las Vegas.
I get killed in about half of them.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
So there's sequel potential.
Awesome. Yeah. You can come back as another character. Yeah. So. And piecing it together, you can find anywhere you listen to podcasts, and we will be back here at Downtown Cinemas. Thank you so much to Downtown Cinemas for having us again. We'll be back here on Saturday, March 8th for Mickey 17, the new Bong Joon-ho film, which I'm super excited about. So hopefully we'll see some of you out there. And I also just wanted to mention, this is marks 2 years that we've been doing live shows at movie theaters around Las Vegas. So thank you so much. And for everyone who showed up tonight, I really appreciate it. And again, hopefully we'll see you at some of these shows. And thank you to my panel. And we'll see you again sometime soon.
Come on, everybody.
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about the monkey. Thank you to Downtown Cinemas for having us out. Thank you to Knik Woods, Jimmie Gonzalez, and Sam Novak for being my panel. Thank you so much to everybody who showed up. Like I said, that was one of our best turnouts we've had for one of these live shows. And so if we could keep growing this thing, we're going to do some really awesome stuff with live piecing it together. So really, thank you so much for showing up, everybody. And if you're listening at home, I really appreciate you as well. As long as we keep growing this thing, we're going to keep doing all kinds of cool stuff. So thank you so much for being out there. Make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together. We got a lot of episodes on the way, and you'll find out about them as soon as they come out if you are subscribed. You could also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And let's see, with that said, I guess it's time to close this out with a piece of music like I always do. And I know I just released a new The Pup Pups album in December. That's my comedy project of songs about my pets, and in some cases sung by my pets. It was their third album. It was called A Boy and His Dog and Three Cats and a Bear. I never thought there would be more than one album. I wasn't even sure if there would ever be one album. And then all of a sudden there was a second, and then all of a sudden there was a third. Well, guess what? I'm almost done with the fourth, and I'm going to start promoting it very soon, that we will have another pre-order and get your pet included on a bonus song thing like I've done in the last 3 albums. So that's going to be happening in like the next month or so for the new album. It's called Another One Already, But You Just Had One, which of course is about Harvey and all of his snackos. But I'm going to play a song from that new Pup Pups album. So this is a little treat, a little snacko, if you will, a little preview of the new The Pup Pups album that's going to go up for pre-order very, very soon here. We're talking about the monkey today, and one of the songs on the album just happens to be called Don't Be a Monkey. This is about cats misbehaving. So Don't Be a Monkey is what we're closing out with. This is, I would say, like 98.9% done. I'm still tinkering with everything until I get the pre-order going, but pretty much done. So hope you enjoy it, and we will be back with more piecing it together real soon. If you're a cat, if you're a moose, if you're a duck, a silly goose, might be a tiger, might be a bumblebee, but you can't just go around doing anything you please. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be a baboon or a chimpanzee, just don't be a monkey. Don't be a monkey. If you want, you could even be a monkey, just don't be a monkey. Don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. Now you might be asking yourself, what if I'm already a monkey? Well, don't be a monkey. Yeah, you're a funny little, silly little, funky little, crazy little monkey. Don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey. You can be whatever you wanna be, but I'm just trying to tell you, don't be a monkey.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.